So I spent 4 hours lost, confused, and frustrated, all because I skipped the tutorial portion of the game. And to be perfectly honest, that's kind of how a lot of Christians do their faith. Hello, devoted geeks, and welcome to Geek Devotions, the show from devoted geeks who are devoted to letting you know you're loved. I'm Dallas. I'm so glad you've hit the play button today. If you are new to our show, we take geek pop culture items like movies, video games, comics, and we use it to let people know that they're loved. So if you don't watch past this moment, know this: we love you, we care about you. There is a plan and a purpose for your life. Do not give up. Recently, I took a deep dive into Xenoblade Chronicles X, the Definite Edition, on my Nintendo Switch. I've been looking for an interesting RPG to play that's not high fantasy, has some sci-fi elements, and this is what came up, and I can see why the fan base loves Saga so far. Like, this is a really fun, interesting game. The RPG aspects of it are really expansive. Like, if there's a lot taking place, it's an open world, there's a lot to do. And like, any time I get into a new game, I do a deep dive and go, okay, well, what's the best practices? What should I do here? How should I handle things? And everyone was saying, hey, take your time, breathe slow. Don't just jump the story points and rush them because you're gonna miss a lot. Explore the world. So I did. I did the first 2 chapters and then I started doing some exploration, right? I started talking to people, did some affinity quests, and started doing some stuff where I was finding like car parts for a guy. It was kind of weird, and there was a lady who had broke the cappuccino machine at her job and helped her fix that. Turns out she's terrible at making coffee. It was a weird situation. I was having fun, and then I'm doing these other quests, and all of a sudden I'm finding that things are getting awkward. I don't know what's happening. There's these mechanics that doesn't tell me what to do, and I'm kind of figuring them out, even though I don't know really what is happening in front of me. I'm getting frustrated if the game doesn't tell me what it is. Then all of a sudden I'm climbing a mountain. There are these weird plants. I'm like, oh, what are these? All of a sudden they're alive. They're living plants. I'm level 9 and they're level 23. It's a bit overwhelming. And so I run for my life. My party dies. It's a sad day. So later I go back to continue the story missions, and all of a sudden the very next story mission, it starts to explain things that I've been asking questions about for the last 4 hours. It literally is explaining aspects of the game that I was missing and didn't understand what was happening. I was on the verge of giving up because it was so frustrating, but now that I've done these tutorials, now that I've gone back and got the information I needed, suddenly things make sense. It's a little bit easier, and I'm having a lot more fun playing the game now. Here's the thing, in life, like it or not, there are tutorial missions we got to go through on a regular basis, specifically in our spiritual walks. And I think this is a problem in the church as a whole also. So often we see people come in and they get saved and they're excited and there's zeal, there's passion, and they run off and they dive into the deep end of doing ministry, being leaders and going out and evangelizing, all these great things, or they dive deep into like things that honestly at the end of the day doesn't matter. Like, you don't really, in the grand scheme of things, end of the world, mark of the beast, not the top 10 priorities on your first day of being a Christian. But for some reason, a lot of people, they dive deep into these heady things. And then what happens though is as they dive into the stuff, as they go into all these other things, which again, some of the stuff is good stuff, but they don't have the basics, they don't have the essentials down. So what happens is that when life gets hard, when things get shaky, when they crash and burn because they're trying to do stuff they haven't prepared for properly, or they haven't been trained to do properly, they get frustrated. They get burnt out. Some of them, they leave the faith altogether and they leave with a really bad taste in their mouth. A taste they begin to share with other people and talk bad about the church and the community as a whole. They walk away just like I was ready to walk away from playing an RPG where I was level 9 and I was facing something level 23 and it was devastating. Too many people are coming into the church and they're level 9 and they're jumping into things they shouldn't be jumping into because somebody is pushing them or somebody's not helping them to level things out. And they're crashing out, guys, because they're facing some level 23 difficulties, and there's so much bigger things out there than that. In the book of Hebrews, the writer is helping the Jewish believers of Jesus to kind of recalibrate and rethink things. And he's walking them through some stuff. When we get to chapter 5, and really conversation 12 through 14 is the bigger picture, but I want to focus on verse 12 specifically. For though by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you again the basic principles of the oracles of God. You need milk, not solid food. Now, sometimes when this is preached, people are using it to as a, like, you know, shame on you for not knowing enough. You're not eating meat. You're down here. But that's really not what's happening here. The writer of Hebrews isn't shaming these people, but rather he's simply laying out the simple fact of, hey, you've missed the mark. You've jumped ahead a few paces, and whereas you've been walking this out for a while, you should be a teacher by now. You've lost some of the tutorial. You've forgotten some of the basics. Maybe you just weren't taught the basics appropriately. Now it's time to come back. Recognizing a problem is not shaming. Recognizing a problem is not attacking somebody. It's just going, hey, this is a problem and we need to fix it appropriately. And that's what's taking place here. Maybe you've been struggling with your faith. Maybe you haven't necessarily flat out failed yet. You haven't crashed and burned, but you're struggling with a lot of stuff right now. And perhaps you're coming to revelation that maybe you've bitten off more than you could chew at the moment. Recognizing that's not a bad thing. You're not failing, especially if you do this. If you go, I need help. A lot of the people that I've dealt with personally who are just absolutely just crash and burning with their walks with Jesus and walking away from the church as a whole never got proper discipleship to begin with. Never really had true mentorship where they learned to read the Bible in context, never learned how to really pray, and never really learned how to walk out their identity as a Christian. And because there was none of that basics that were put into them, when the hard things come up, the social issues come up, when all the other things of the world begin to shake and stir, they don't have a foundation to sit on, much less stand on. So my challenge for you guys is that if you're new to the faith, go find somebody to disciple you. Ask someone to mentor you. Someone who's mature in their faith, who knows what they're talking about, who's walking things out in a biblical manner, all right, to help you to grow, to teach you the basics. I'm not talking about diving head on to these deep theological conversations about Calvinism versus Arminianism, or, you know, when's the Antichrist going to show up, and all these things. I'm talking about just the basics on how to be a Christian. If you're one of those individuals who are out there, you've been in the game for a while, you are level 42 in this game of life we have here in your walk with God, I want to encourage you to do me a favor. Be one of the cool gamers who help the noobs, help them to grow, disciple them, step in, be active, and making yourself available to help them get the basics down so they can continue on the journey appropriately. Question of the week: have you ever jumped ahead of what God has for you? You just jumped head deep into a ministry or into some sort of theological thought, and you realized you were in over your head and you hadn't had the basics done? Leave a comment down below and let us know how you handle that situation. Your story could help encourage other individuals who are walking through the very same thing. Well, I'll have you guys here. I want to remind you guys this last time we'll be at GeekCon in August in Shreveport, Louisiana. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to have a booth right there. We're going to have some t-shirts to sell and whatnot, but we want to meet you guys. We want to shake your hand. We want to give you a hug. We want to pray with you if you need prayer. We want to take pictures with you in your cosplay, but this is the big deal. Once you do that, guys, do us a favor. Hit the con floor and love on people. Let's help create the community that needs to be there, where we're encouraging people, where we're inspiring people, speaking life and hope into our fellow geeks and nerds. I also want to give a very special thank you to all of our devoted Patreon geeks who help to support us. For as little as $1 a month, they help to provide the stuff we have here. Our lights, our camera, some of the stuff that we get to do devotions on, they help pay for all that stuff. But specifically, they're also helping us to get to GeekCon, to go and do these things. And we are so thankful for their investment in Geek Devotions and believing in us and helping us to reach people, to let people know that they're loved, that they're cared for, and there's a plan and purpose for their lives. And if you would like to become a devoted Patreon geek, visit our website, geekdevotions.com, where you can learn more information on our support page. Even outside of being a Patreon member, there are other ways you guys can help support us financially. But if you can't help support us financially, that's perfectly okay, guys. You can help us in big ways, such as sharing these videos, commenting on the videos, taking part in our communities on Discord, in the Facebook group, Devoted Geek Life. Taking part and helping us to grow as a community is a major way to help fulfill the mission of Geek Devotions. All that being said, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay devoted, peace and love.